Welcome to Cookies and Careers. Today we're gonna have some fun. It's summertime. What a great way to finish your day, but to have some drinks with coworkers. But also, how do you do your makeup for the day that lasts into the night? So I've invited my friend, Kevin from Beautiful and Bothered, and he's gonna help me get my makeup set for the day and take me into the night. And at the end, we're gonna actually have some drinks with our coworkers. Looking forward to having some Aperol spritzes.
All right, so first thing, we're gonna clip back your hair. So this part you don't have to do, but I always like to. Makes it nice and easy.
Now you can see my gray roots.
And so you already have some makeup on now, right?
Yes.
So if this is your makeup for day, so tell everybody what you're kind of wearing right now so they get an idea.
Okay, so right now, just your normal concealer, eyeliner. I usually go with neutrals on my lids, eyeliner on the inside, and interesting enough I don't use like regular foundation, but for my foundation, I always mix it with sunscreen, whether it be in the spring or the winter. I always have sunscreen on my face.
Awesome, I love that. So that's super important, and especially like reapplying sunscreen throughout the day every 2 hours, but especially at night, you don't have to worry about that. So the next thing we're gonna do, so this could be your everyday face going to, so if you have any oils or anything, you could blot that off with even like if you take a tissue, pull it apart, blot any excess shine off, and then go right in with your powder products again. So one of my favorite tricks I love doing is taking a big fluffy like domed brush, light bronzer, just right on the tip of that, just tap off your excess. And this is all stuff you could do if you're at the office still, if you're in your car and you have 5 minutes to kind of switch your face. So we're gonna take this from like the back point of the face and bring this forward, just to add a little more sculpt and bring this right up to the temples. So this adds a lot more dimension, and you can always stop here if you want. So this is something that's just gonna really define the cheeks a little bit more. I like to bring this on the sides of the nose and right above, right where your brow arch is. Bronze that. Okay. Give yourself a little more color.
Yeah, I went a little light. So I once learned this like 3 thing.
The number 3.
Yeah.
Very outdated.
Oh, outdated, just like me.
Essentially the placement is not wrong. So the number 3 essentially, like Sherry's saying, is that you're gonna make a number 3 on your face and bring it down. So that's not wrong necessarily, but it's all a matter of perfect placement for your face shape, because the 3 doesn't work on everybody. Okay. Depending if you have an oval face, it can definitely work. But that's not something that I typically do on everybody because it doesn't always flatter everybody's face shape.
I need to tell my daughters that. I told them outdated information.
I mean, that's the beauty of like social media now. Everything is on TikTok. There's so many tips and tricks, but it can get a little overwhelming. But
that's why we have to follow you.
Exactly.
To get current and stay current, because let's face it, we can't go everywhere. So you have to pick the best.
Exactly. All right, so now that we're a little more bronzed, we're gonna add a little bit more color in the face with a little bit of blush. So, and I always remember to like keep your blush and bronzer handy because it's gonna come back in just a few minutes. So I'm gonna take a little more of like a cool tone pink, same brush. Okay. So no need to switch the brush. And we're gonna stay about 2 finger lengths away from the nose and go upward. So you never wanna put blush too close to the center of the face. You wanna keep it more wrapped and a little bit higher placed. And now we have a nice warmed up complexion, a little bit of bronzer, a little bit of blush. So now we're gonna dip back in to our original bronzer color. Okay. With just a fluffy blending brush. So a nice domed blending brush with that same bronzer color used on your face. Tap off your excess, and we're gonna run this right through the crease of the eye.
Really?
So I like to do this because it's harmonious color matching. So when you look at your face and your eye, everything, the color harmony is just your eyes will kind of naturally it looks softer when all those colors balance together. So this is just warming up that crease with that bronzer. And we're gonna do the same thing with the blush actually too.
Wow, that's a great idea.
And this is something that really takes your look from day to night, and it just adds so much more dimension. And you can even do this during the day and just go a little bit lighter with a little bit of that bronzer. This adds the perfect crease color, really gives your eyes enough lift and gives a lot more definition.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
What about people who don't go to the office and are remote? So they're on Zoom.
Yeah.
Is there like Zoom makeup?
It's funny that you say that because obviously during when we were all in quarantine, there was so many people on Zoom, including myself, and I would get those questions a lot, like how do you make it stand out on Zoom? And you actually have to go a little bit bolder.
Interesting.
So bolder the better when you're on camera, because even like right now at home, for anybody watching you, this is going to be a lot softer looking. And even in person, it's not too bold, but you definitely on camera, you can go a little bit heavier handed with things. Make sure they're still blended appropriately, but you can definitely go heavier handed for sure. Because that already looks so great.
I have to trust you. But I know for me, and I think others too, I don't like to see myself in those virtual cameras so close. So I think with more makeup, maybe would be better. I don't know. I'm always trying to get myself further away from the camera, or put my glasses on or something, because you just feel like, I don't know. I guess none of us really like to look that closely at ourselves.
And especially on Zoom too, everything gets a little distorted. So depending on the quality of the camera, but I would say, yeah, a little bit more is gonna look more natural on camera, which sounds weird, but it definitely works.
All right.
So now I'm gonna do a little bit of liquid liner just on the outer third of your eye.
Okay.
So you can close. And this is just we're gonna start from the edge of the eye and just slowly, almost like a little slope, bring that right in. And it just adds a little more definition to that lash line, especially if you're going out and you're gonna be in lower lighting, dim lighting. This is a great way to make your eyes stand out, especially when you take photos. There's nothing worse when your eyes look a little bit more small. Everything looks kind of washed out when you take photos in a dimly lit area. So we're gonna add a little bit more mascara just on the outer third of your lashes.
Interesting.
To give a more flared effect. So you can always take, like I like using the Rare Beauty mascara.
Oh, I love Rare Beauty.
And everything they stand for too with Rare Beauty is so amazing. With the Rare Impact Fund is so beautiful.
I agree. I like to buy it for my daughters as well to support it.
It's amazing. Yeah, the Rare Impact Fund, they donate, I think it's $1 every time you buy something from Rare Beauty. They donate $1 to mental health awareness, which is amazing.
It is
amazing. We love that. All right. And then last but not least, lip color.
Right.
So especially when you're eating and drinking, that is the most daunting thing to worry about if your lipstick is moving. So I like using things that you put on, dry down, and then they don't move. This is a cool innovation from Revlon that is a satin version of that. So it doesn't look too matte. It doesn't look dry on the lips, because with matte liquid lipsticks, traditionally, they do look a little bit dry. They can look a little bit cakey on the lips and they could feel uncomfortable. This gives you a lot of movement on the lips so you can still feel comfortable. It looks nice and glossy, but it's gonna be that super long wear that you can eat and drink without having to worry.
And what's the product name again?
So this one is the Revlon, the Color Stay inks, the satin inks. They make a matte version, which has no shine. I prefer the one with that glossier finish, because even though these dry down, it's such a cool innovation that this really keeps your lips nice and hydrated looking without the stickiness of gloss. So your hair is never gonna get stuck to this. You don't have to worry about this going outside of the lines in the lip. You can just go about your night, go about your day. This is great that it comes in so many different shades. They're readily available at like Walgreens, CVS, anywhere. You can buy Revlon, and they make higher end versions of this kind of product, but I actually found that this one works and performs the best.
All right.
And then
Good to know.
that. So, and we're gonna let this dry down a little bit, so I'm just gonna break out my fan.
Oh, I love your little fan.
Oh yes.
And your gloss stays on.
Yeah, typically, this is like very like glossier lip balm. So I do have to reapply, where this, it's gonna stay, it's gonna look like gloss on your lips, but you're not gonna have any issues with this fading, transferring. Wow. Even if you drink out of a glass, a straw, no matter what, it's gonna stay.
All right.
Which is great.
We're gonna test it later on our Aperol
Oh yes, we will.
Yay. What a cute little fan. Everybody should get one of these.
I love it. Amazon. I mean,
Amazon.
Gotta love Amazon. They have everything.
I know they do.
All right, so then the most important part for me, especially to keep your makeup on all day, and it's the final step. You could do this when you're done in the morning, but I like to do it throughout the day, especially if I'm going out again after I touch up my makeup. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury, the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Keeps your makeup on for 16 hours, sweat-proof, waterproof, humidity-proof.
Really?
Yep.
Maybe you should put it on my hair too.
Exactly, right? They do make hairsprays that do that.
Especially in New Jersey right now.
Oh yeah, it's like with this heat wave, it's
right. It's impossible.
incredible.
Do your hair, it looks nice for about 2 seconds.
Exactly.
All
So
right,
you're
so
gonna
good.
close, and you wanna mist about 12 inches away, do a couple spritzes, and then I take my fan and dry this down so you're not working into a work function or going out with your friends.
I feel so fancy with this fan after I've gotten sprayed.
And it really does, like, it really takes your makeup and just makes it look more satin, more skin-like. So it takes away the powder finish too from all that makeup that you might have on already and you're adding more. So it doesn't make your face look cakey at all and doesn't disturb anything, but really sets everything in place. How's your skin feel?
It feels set.
Good.
Yeah, feels set. Like I'm not gonna have a problem keeping this on,
I love it.
which is great.
And you look great.
Oh, right.
Let me get
Well,
a
I have
mirror
to
for
trust
you.
you on this. Yeah, fix my hair. You gotta
I
hide,
know, now we gotta...
hide those grays.
I would say the main things to walk away with is that you don't need extra products. So blush and bronzer are your best friend for your eye and cheek. So take that bronzer and that blush, the ones that you're already using for your face, pop them right into your existing eye look, and it's gonna work with any look, any color scheme that you already have, no matter what you have on. It can warm up your look and complete it. Lip color, the Revlon Color Stay Satin Inks. I can't recommend these enough. They are incredible. And a good setting spray to keep it on. So I would say the Charlotte Tilbury gives you more of a satin finish. There are ones more, if you're oily, you could do one with a matte finish, but this one is more skin-like, more forgiving, and it sets your powders into place and makes it all look like skin again.
Right, it feels good.
Yeah.
As it dries.
And you look great.
Oh, well, you're so sweet. I don't know about that, but thank you very much.
You do. Oh, this was fun.
Lots of fun.
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna do this again, but with a younger, more beautiful face.
All right, so now we're back with Mary. So we went ahead and prepped her complexion a little bit with a little bit of the Hydromaniac from Urban Decay. This is a beautiful, like, medium coverage skin tint, gives a nice dewier finish, and then we set her with a Sephora Collection Micro Smooth Baked Powder. So this is something that you can wear to the office if you just want to wear this at home or your day's off and you just want to even yourself out a little bit. So now this would be our daytime look. Now we're going to transition to our nighttime look. So similar what we did with Sherry, we're gonna start by taking a matte bronzer. So we're gonna take this and start to sculpt the face again. So we're gonna start again towards the back of the ear and we're gonna bring this right forward towards the mouth, but again, staying about 2 finger lengths away from the mouth so it looks nice and natural. Blend this all the way through, little circles.
So when placing the different products, how do you decipher what brushes to use?
That's a really, really great question because there are products and brushes for different parts of the face. So especially with powder products, you want to make sure that you're grabbing either synthetic or natural hair brushes that are a little bit fluffier for powder, like face powders. So this one, for example, is a synthetic blend. So it's going to be a blend of different synthetic fibers. There are brushes that are synthetic and natural blends. But for powder specifically, I always was skeptical with synthetic brushes because those were always better for creams and liquids. Mm-hmm. But something like this, when you're doing bronzer, you don't want to use too stiff of a brush because if it's too stiff and it doesn't have a lot of movement to it, it's definitely going to deposit that product and then it's not going to give you that nice airbrush kind of finish to the powder. So you want to make sure that wherever you're fitting that brush to, that it's the right size, because this looks big for what I'm doing, but you're really just using the tip of that brush and tucking that into those specific areas. So you don't have to use a giant brush, but you don't want to use anything too small either. So now we're gonna take a little bit of a blush now as well to really build up the color back in the face. So now that we've sculpted and defined, we really wanna make sure we amp up the cheek a little bit more. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a brighter blush and mix the color. So don't be afraid to ever mix. Some blushes have like a couple, like palettes will have a few colors in there. So you can always mix the 3 together and tap this through.
And would the application of, say, like a powder blush be the same as like a cream liquid blush?
So with creams and liquids, I always say whatever formula it is should be going on top of one another. So if you're doing a cream or liquid blush, you want to make sure that you're putting that on a cream or liquid foundation first before setting. There are some formulas that you can definitely put on top of powder, especially with creams. but I would say cream over cream, powder over powder. And when you're doing cream blush, like blending that out, you do want to use a more dense brush, something to actually blend and like buff out that liquid formula over the cheek. So it's nice and sheer and airbrushed. So now we're going to go right back in like we did earlier with our blending brush. So we're going to take just one blending brush into that bronzer we already used. We're going to start from the outer corner of the eye, bring this right into the depth of the crease and little circles, blending that out. And when you hold a brush too, it's very important to remember you always want to hold the brush back a little bit further to get more of a seamless blend. If you hold it too close to the actual bristles, you're going to wipe everything away and it's going to get very patchy. So the further back you hold it with a feather light touch to that brush, it gives you more mobility with the brush, like the bristles, to actually blend out your product.
And if you happen to apply, say, too much product, or your hand becomes a bit too heavy, how would you kind of like resolve that without wiping off what you have on your face already?
That's an amazing question. So I think we've all been there where we've definitely applied something a little too heavy-handed, whether it's eyeshadow, whether it is blush or bronzer. So the best way to go about it is I first put the brush down and then put the product down and step back and look, and whatever formula it is. So if it's a cream product, I love tissues are amazing tools, and anything, or even a powder puff, because a powder puff can absorb a lot of that product too. So I like tissues just to kind of lay it on top and almost like roll it off. If it's a powder product, it's a little bit easier to kind of work with and take away just by taking a translucent setting powder. And you can go ahead and what we call it like veiling the product. So you can veil over, like if the blush was ever too heavy, you could take a translucent powder and sweep it out like around that, and it'll soften that all out. Or your foundation powder, if it has a little bit of that color, you want to make sure that you tap that right over and it'll smooth everything out.
When would you recommend a beauty blender versus like a blending brush?
So I'm never a big proponent of beauty blenders. I think sponges and in general are just a little bit too unpredictable. I like having the control with a brush. A brush is going to give you a lot more stability. You know what you're getting with a brush, and you're going to have that control, where a beauty blender, you're not really, it's the one finish that you're going to get. It's the amount of coverage you're going to get, and you actually use more product, in my opinion, than when you use a brush. You're using a lot less product. So typically with foundation, for example, I use maybe 1.5 pumps for a full face, but with a beauty blender, I use about 4. So, and even when beauty blenders, you're supposed to dampen down the beauty blenders a little bit more. So when they're expanding in size, they absorb that water so they don't absorb as much product, but it's inevitable. They will absorb it. Just, you typically will always use more product. And so now I'm just going in with a little bit of a somewhat translucent radiant shadow just on the lids to add a little bit more of a shimmer, but nothing too crazy on the eyes. So this just adds a lot more radiance to the face without doing too much highlighter on the face, and really just honing in on the eyes. And then we're gonna do same trick as before. We're gonna do the outer half of our liner here. And we're gonna go as close. You can rest I love using liquid liners because you can rest them against the natural lashes and then just kind of guide that right along, and you get a nice clean line.
If you were doing a winged liner, would it sort of be like the same situation, starting on like the outer or the half?
So when I do wing liner on anybody or even myself, you always want to start with the wing itself. I always like to do that to kind of gauge the thickness of my liner, because sometimes we go into wing liner thinking it's going to be one shape and it ends up being something else. But I would say always be realistic, that I always start with my eyes open. So you never want to close your eyes when you do wing liner. You always want to keep your eyes open, as you know, your eyes are going to be open all day as you look at people with that liner. So looking in the mirror and starting with, you almost have to imagine if your bottom waterline, if that kept extending, that's where that liner shape is going to go naturally for your eye shape. So everybody's a little bit different. That's why I never use anybody else's technique, because everyone's eye shape and eye space is very different. So your lid space is going to be different depending on how thick you can go. So I would say always start from the outer point of the eye and almost draw a guideline, or you can even use, like I've used Scotch tape, taking it on the back of the hand, peeling it off and putting it down and just going right up against that Scotch tape will give you that perfect line every time if you're just beginning. They make makeup tape too, but honestly, if you have Scotch tape at home, put it on the back of your hand, peel, and lay it down on the eye. And then for Mary, for lip color, I picked out a perfect like nude for you. So I grabbed one of my favorite longwear lip liners from Charlotte Tilbury. So this is Pillow Talk Deep, and this is so amazing. So this is gonna give you that nice sculpt, and what I love about these, they are waterproof and smudge proof, so they don't come off when you eat or drink, which is amazing. And you can even, sometimes I just like doing a little bit of lip liner with a little like clear gloss in the middle or a tinted gloss. So that's what we're gonna do for you to show what that looks like. So I like to start in the edges of the lip and kind of blur out and kind of feather that lip liner inwards. And then we're gonna add one of my favorite gloss formulas. These are the NYX Milky Glosses. So they come in a wide array of shades and they are so beautiful. I typically like to mix them because I'm always a mixer. But this is such a great combo, doing a nice like nude brown liner with a shade that's a little bit more mauve. This is in the color Cherry Skimmed. And I tap this right in the middle of the lip, and it almost mimics your natural lip color. When you put this on with any skin tone, it's so cool that it almost adapts and gives you like that perfect pink summery lip.
And is this something I'd have to like reapply throughout the night?
The gloss, yeah, like typically any glosses, anything that has like a super high shine like this in particular does, but that lip liner will stay. That's why I even like lip balms or like anything that's clear over this, because it really is so nice. But if I want a pink that kind of just works with any skin tone, this color I absolutely adore. And then press that together a couple times. Perfect. All right, perfect. Okay, so last step, obviously most important, is locking this in again all night. So we're gonna go ahead and go back in with the Charlotte Tilbury, the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. So go ahead and close for me. And we're gonna mist that over and then dry that setting spray down.
And would you need to reapply setting spray throughout the day, or is that just a one-time?
I typically only do setting spray once a day. If I am going out, like if I go home, refresh my makeup or something, and then I'm going right back out, I will do it if I apply more makeup just to really seal in that layer. And as this dries down, you'll even see that your skin has more of that satin finish to the skin. So again, a satin finish is the cross between something radiant, something matte. So your skin is gonna look very healthy, very realistic. It doesn't look like you're wearing a ton of makeup, but your skin just looks super healthy and glowy without even putting highlighter on the skin, especially in the summer when it is so humid, it is so hot. Highlighter's not always the best choice. Okay, how's your skin feel?
Awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, you look amazing. You look summer ready. You look like you're ready for a nice, refreshing, summery drink.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, of course. So much fun.
Special thanks to Kevin from Beautiful Unbothered and my good friend. We had a great time. We got some great tips and we learned about makeup in the summer, going from day to night. We had a lot of fun, and I have to tell you, I picked up a lot of tips. Now I have to practice them. But anyway, as we normally close, we're gonna have some nice summer Aperol spritzes, and catch you later on Cookies and Careers. Not bad, right?
So good.
That's awesome.
And your lip stayed on
Oh, look, my lip stayed on, everybody.
and doesn't transfer.
That's right.
Love that.
Yay, I saved my glasses.